to Servanthood, day 5. So we've talked about servanthood from a few different angles. Anyone can be one. Servants have no choice. Ministers should be. But what about this? Servanthood as a heaven and hell issue. You say, this legalist has lost it. But hear me out a second. I heard it said before, don't make the preacher lie about you at your funeral. Funny saying, yet one that has truth to it. While preachers shouldn't be lying ever, as a minister, you really don't want to be saying negative things about the person in the casket. Reminds me of a funny story about two notorious brothers that terrorized the town as bullies, cheats, liars, and downright terrible scoundrels. They had acquired quite a fortune swindling people with their unscrupulous ways. Sadly, one of the brothers died, and the living brother went to a local preacher who was struggling to make ends meet and needed money to repair the church. And he knew this, and he said, I will pay you $20,000 to do my brother's funeral, but on one condition. You call him a saint and an amazing human being at the funeral. The pastor of the church was furious, think that he could be bought. He said, I would never, ever be bribed into saying such lies. The brother said, well, you're my last hope in this town. No one else will do it. And call me if you want to do it, because I need someone to bury him, and there's $20,000 in it for you. Simply repeat the description I gave you about him. The pastor said, well, I will oblige you by doing the funeral, but I don't know how I could ever look at my congregation after saying things that were so blatantly untrue. The brother said, well, my lawyer will be there, and if you repeat my description, he will write you a check for $20,000 after the ceremony. Well, he brooded over the ceremony, struggling to come up with something nice to say about the man. Then he had a brilliant idea. As the ceremony started, the preacher read some scriptures, said a prayer, and began to talk about the deceased. He said, while he was a cheat, a con artist, an all-around terrible person, compared to his brother, he was a saint and an amazing human being. Mission accomplished. But how many know while a preacher may lie to the people listening to your eulogy, there's one that will never lie? Numbers 23:19. God is not a man that he should lie. So knowing this fact, I submit to you why being a servant is a heaven and hell issue. Matthew 25:23. His Lord said unto him, well done, thou good and faithful servant. Thou hast been faithful over a few things. I will make thee ruler over many things. Enter thou into the joy of the Lord. Now, if you haven't been a faithful servant, you won't hear those words from the Lord, because he cannot lie. Just like that amazing example we had that Jesus gave us at the Last Supper. He draws a basin of water. He begins to wash the disciples' feet. When he gets to Peter, Peter asks him, what are you doing, Lord? He says, I'm washing your feet. Peter says, no, you won't. And the Lord says, well, if I don't, give no part of me. Peter obliges. And when he finishes, we read this. So after he had washed their feet, John 23:12, and had taken his garments and sat down again, he said unto them, know ye what I have done to you? Ye call me Master and Lord, and you say, well, for so I am. Then your Lord and Master hath washed your feet, ye also ought to wash one another's feet. For I have given you an example. You should do as I have done to you. Verily, verily I say to you, the servant is not greater than the Lord, neither is he that is sent greater than he that sent him. If you knew these things, happy are ye if you do them. You must be a servant of the Lord. It's not an option. If we are to hear, well done, thou good and faithful servant, we cannot escape being a servant. Preferring one another, loving one another. What a great world this would be if we were all servants to each other. What a great church we would have if we were all servants to each other. Try it. It's pretty important. In fact, it's going to be the difference between making heaven and hell. Well, thanks so much for allowing me to be part of the Summer of Devotions again. Blessings to you all. Serve on. Maybe see you next year.